Hey friends, I am bringing you a new training called Goal Setting in 15 Minutes. And this is going to work whether it is the new year or any time of the year where you're looking to set some goals and grow in any area of your life. And so I want to start off by saying, why did I develop this? Well, I did a survey on Instagram and I just was curious. It's the end of November. Wanted to just see how people are feeling and what's the deal with on goal setting. In real estate industry, goal setting is really a cornerstone. Business planning is another way that they call that. And this is the results I got. 62% of the respondents said not yet. It's on my to-do. 33 said the plan is in place, which is great. But that really means that 2/3 of everybody who responded to this either had not done it or didn't know where to start. And I saw that and I thought, okay, well, look, I can help with this because as the professor teaching principles of management at UNF, really the whole purpose of that class is to teach the kids how to set goals, amongst some other things. I have them do a goal plan, learn how to set goals, learn how to write it, all of that stuff throughout the entire semester. And I thought I can do an abbreviated version for my realtor friends to give them a boost, because I don't want to do this huge, let's, sit down for a whole day workshop and go over how to do goals. I want to do goals in 15 minutes. Okay. And so as we look at this is the challenge that we face. First and foremost, we want to improve our lives and businesses. I think that is a very natural desire for pretty much everyone in the business. They are in a place where they want to be in a better spot in the future. They want to improve from their current state to some future state that is better. And a great way to do this is goal planning, is business planning. In fact, it is the primary way to do that, because till you set goals, you are essentially going to hope that life blows you in the right direction and you end up where you want to be. And I can tell you right now that usually life does not take you where you want to go. You have to tell life where you want to go, and you have to take action. You have to do that, right? But in many cases, as we've already seen with those survey results, it's hard to find time to do this goal planning and this business planning, right? Or you might feel lost in the direction that you want to take. It can be a very daunting task to look at a blank piece of paper and say, what do I want to do? And sometimes you need something that jumpstarts you to get you going, right? You need a way to get into motion, because once you start just getting into motion, the juices are flowing, you get some speed, and you can start to adjust as you're moving. But we all know that the hardest step to take is the first step. And so the purpose of this is to help you set goals in 15 minutes. It is to give you the jumpstart you need to get going. And here is the 3-step plan that we are going to follow for setting goals. We are going to spend the first 6 minutes of our 15 minutes picking a primary goal, right? What's the main goal that you want to focus on? Now, the key here is that this doesn't have to be by the end of 2025 or by the end of next year goal. This could be, hey, next week, this is what I want to focus on. You can set these little micro goals that are just saying, here's my next focus. And you can live your life from goal to goal to goal to goal. And you don't have to set these big, hairy, audacious goals like a lot of the business books talk about that can be overwhelming. All right. So you're going to spend the first 6 minutes figuring out what's the course you want to chart. Where's that end destination? And then you're going to spend the next 6 minutes figuring out the path you're going to take, right? So we know the end destination. Now we got to figure out what path are we going to take to get there. And we do this by going over 3 focuses. You may be familiar with the 1-3-5 or the GPS method of setting goals. This is sort of popularized by Keller Williams. This is sort of the 1-3 method. So instead of making it the super in-depth thing, we're going to say, here's the one thing I want to do, and I'm going to figure out 3 things I can focus on that will help me get there. And then we're going to spend the last few minutes, only about 3 minutes, making this SMT, and that stands for specific, measurable, and time-bound, and we'll go over that. But you're going to get the stuff on the paper, and then you're going to spend the last few minutes revising it to make sure it's written in a proper format. Now, let's dive into each of these steps individually and help you walk through this. First and foremost, we're going to pick a goal. And I think that this is where so many people get stuck because, again, that blank sheet of paper is daunting. Figuring out what you really want to focus on next year can feel overwhelming, can feel a lot of pressure around, I don't want to get it wrong, right? And so I would tell you that our goal is, instead of picking that huge goal, we want to focus on just getting into motion and picking our next goal, right? And that is something that I think is a lot easier to bite and chew, right? The whole saying of how to eat an elephant one bite at a time, that's exactly what we're gonna do here. We wanna just figure out what's the first bite we wanna take so we can get into motion and get going. And I would say this, you probably already have this in mind because you probably have been thinking about, hey, I'd really like to do this, or, hey, this, I know I really need to focus on that. The hard part is commitment, and you to actually say, officially, this is the route I want to go. And so what I would tell you is go with your first thought. When you want to get in motion, write your first goal. Just write down your first thought of where you want to go. Because guess what? You can always edit this down the road. You can change this later if you want, but you need to get something down to get started. And that is what I would recommend you do. And then once you're done with that, you're going to move to step 2. And this is where we're going to list our 3 strategies of how we'd like to achieve the goal. I'm going to give you an example at the end. So we'll walk through this, but there are typically only a few things we can ever focus on. We are not able to have our attention divided up amongst 25 different things. We're never going to go anywhere. So we want to have really sharp focus in one direction to make progress. And we're going to do this by limiting what we're going to focus on around this goal that we're trying to accomplish to just 3 main strategies. This is similar to the 80-20 rule, where we think about 20% of all of our activities result in 80% of our results. 20% of your customers give you 80% of your headaches. 20% of your customers give you 80% of your business, right? And so that's what we want to focus on here. What are the 3 main drivers that are going to push the business forward? And so I want you to ask yourself these questions. What truly matters when it comes to accomplishing this goal? Think about really what are the main things that come to mind. And is it something that you need to start doing, or is it something you need to quit doing? A lot of times when we do goals, it is add and do more. And what you might consider is subtracting, right? And taking away things like we need to stop doing this, and that will actually free me up to accomplish the goal that I want to accomplish. Is there someone that could help you? Right? Do you need to book the one coaching session with that mentor? Do you need to reach out to this other person and ask their advice? Do you need to look at someone else who's already doing what you want to do and just figure out what they did and benchmark it, right? And that's a business term for copy. If you could only do one thing, what would you do, right? That's your number one thing you need to write down, and then you're going to think about a couple others. Okay, so write down your 3 strategies, and that will allow you to now have your main goal and your 3 strategies. Now, they're probably not written in a great way for you to accomplish them and for you to use them. So what you need to do now in the last step is refine these statements to be SMT. And what that means is we need to write them in SMT format. You may have heard SMART goals. Well, this SMT is sort of focusing on, again, this part that matters: specific, measurable, and time-bound. And this transforms your goals from vague to powerful. The amateur writes goals and they write general statements. And again, I'll show you general goals in a couple examples after this, but the pro understands they have to be specific, they have to know how they're going to measure their goals, and they have to have a due date on them for them to really get these to be to go from sort of just generic wants to powerful goal statements that move you forward, okay? So I want you to review each statement that you write with this checklist. Have I specified exactly what I mean right here? Right? Like when you write this statement, is there any room for misunderstanding? Because you may know what you're talking about sort of in your head, but if you don't write it that way, you can actually lose track of your focus. You may forget what you actually meant, depending on how this goes. And so that is something where it also can be very helpful to ask somebody else, hey, if I were to tell you this is my goal, would you know exactly what I'm trying to do? the other thing you need to ask is there a way to measure my progress? A goal with no way to measure it is a goal that cannot be achieved. You will never know if you've been successful. It can burn you out. It can be demoralizing. So you have to have a way that you're going to define, I am going to measure this progress so that I know I've made it to my destination. And then lastly, do you have due dates on each item? And that is going to help you to know by when you need to complete these goals. And due dates are powerful because they create urgency. They create your ability to now set a timeline and set a schedule and follow it. So let's walk through a couple examples and then wrap this up so you guys can get going and you're setting your goals. The first example is a personal health goal, right? Not all goals have to be business related. Almost every year we all set personal health goals. And so you might start by writing the statement, I want to be more healthy, right? You know that at this point in your life, your health is your primary focus. Okay. But if you write, I want to be more healthy, that can be misinterpreted by a whole lot because the word healthy is not clear. It's not specific. Okay. So a better statement is we want to go through that statement or that exercise where we specify, okay, what does being healthy mean? It means that I weigh less, because weighing less is really what I mean when I say being healthy. And this could be anything, but this is the example, right? I want to lose weight. Okay. Now we got some serious progress on making this a powerful statement. And not only do I want to lose weight, I want to lose 10 pounds. Now we have a number in there that we can measure. So we can say, I weigh 180 pounds today. I want to weigh 170 pounds in the future, but we need to know by when, right? And so the final statement can look something like this. I want to lose 10 pounds in 30 days or some specific date that you set, right? So now it is a very clear statement of what your goal is and when you're to complete it by. There's no ambiguity of did I complete this or not. Now, if we come and think of our 3 strategies, and this will be personal to you, here's an example of 3 strategies you could take. First and foremost, you could say, okay, I think I want to start by just getting my body in motion. I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day because it's not realistic for me to say I'm going to go to the gym every single day and I'm going to become this power lifter. All I want to do is get my body going and I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day. I think that that's feasible. I think that that would contribute to my goal and that would help me in a very approachable way get into this lifestyle that I want to live. The second thing I'm going to do is I know that I can't just cut cold turkey all of the sweets or some of my, comfort meals. So instead of doing some drastic diet change, all I'm going to focus on is I'm not going to fast food restaurants, right? Doesn't mean that I will not eat pasta at home, but I am just going to say, I know that I eat too much fast food. It's easy. It's convenient. I stop. It turns into way too many calories. And I know if I can just cut out the fast food, that will help me tremendously drop the amount of calories that I'm intaking. And then finally, I'm going to weigh myself every day. And so you've got these 3 very approachable, potentially easy things to do. And all of a sudden, now as you set these goals, you have a very realistic plan that is something that you can focus on, right? It's not overwhelming. It's not this drastic change in your lifestyle that's hard to maintain. These are things that you should be able to hold on to, right? And so your final plan looks like this. I will lose 10 pounds by December 31st. My strategies to accomplish this goal are walking 10,000 steps a day, cutting out fast food completely, and weighing myself each day so I can keep track of my progress as I go, right? Know that I'm on the right direction, stay motivated, all of those things, right? Okay, now let's look at a business growth goal as we finish up. First and foremost, you might have the goal that you want to make more money, right? That's a common goal that most people have, but that is a general statement. So a specific statement is I want to earn an additional $25,000. Okay, let's make it a little more measurable. I want to earn an additional $25,000, and we'll do some math and say by closing 4 extra deals next year at a $400,000 average price point. And if you do the math on that, that's actually a little more than 25 for most people in commission. But if you count out taxes and all that stuff, that should net you close to that number, depending on your details. But now we have a very specific statement that is measurable, and we need to put a due date on it, right? So in this case, it could be a yearly goal by the end of 2025. You could say, oh, by next quarter, right? But whatever it is, now we have a very specific end destination that we're trying to get to, and we can say whether we did it or not, and we know exactly kind of what we need to do to get there, right? So then we got to figure out what are our 3 strategies. And so here are some examples that you could have used. First and foremost, you might say one strategy I'm going to use is I know I need to reconnect to my database, right? I got 50 people that I've helped buy or sell. They're all in houses. I'm going to send a home value to all of my existing clients so that I can reconnect with them. And I'm going to use this as an excuse to email that to them and then call them to check to make sure they got it. And then as that conversation unfolds, I'm going to end that conversation with all of them asking for a referral and asking for a testimonial, right? And that is going to allow me to really make that a valuable activity. The second strategy I'm going to focus on could be making 2 prospecting phone calls every business day. Now, that a lot of people set goals and they're like, well, I'm going to lead generate for 3 hours a day. Okay, well, listen to this. 2 calls for every business day. If you just did that, 2 calls every business day, 502 calls. Okay. I would be willing to bet that that is a lot more calls than you would think it would be. And that if you made 500 additional calls next year, that you would find a tremendous amount of business coming to you from that, right? Now you got to figure out who you're going to call and you got to have a strategy with that and all of that. But if you only have a goal of 2 calls a day, that is so attainable. You can do that, right? And then finally, I'm going to join Market Insiders Coaching, right? This is a little shameless plug on my end, but sometimes it takes getting expert help to have something to talk about, to know what to talk about when people have questions. And so maybe joining the Market Insiders market coaching plan that I have is a great way for you to start to grow your market IQ, to be able to feel more confident, to know where to focus your efforts, to see opportunities you didn't see before. And so between these 3 things, you have a very attainable plan to go out there and get your additional business, right? It's not overwhelming. It didn't take you a million or 2 days at a retreat in isolation to write this plan. In theory, you did it in 15 minutes, right? And so your final plan will look like this. I will earn $25,000 more in 2025 by closing an extra 4 deals at an average price point of $400,000. I'm going to do that by sending annual home values to existing clients, calling them after and asking for referrals and testimonials. Separately, I'm going to make 2 additional prospecting calls every business day, 502 calls. I can literally have check boxes and put them on my wall. And then I'm going to join the Market Insiders Coaching to grow my expertise in the market and increase my conversion rate, right? So that when I make these calls, I'm able to make them very effectively. Okay. And so let's wrap up with some best practices and final thoughts. First and foremost, I'm not telling you to not do a thorough business plan. Those are valuable, but I do think that I'm speaking to many people who have trouble just getting started in this process. And so this is a quick and easy method for getting your feet moving, and you can get unstuck taking this approach. And so here are some best practices. First and foremost, get it done, not perfect, right? We want to make our goals perfect, but this method is meant for you to get it done and get process going, and then you can revise as you move forward and work your way towards that perfect goal plan that you want. Bad goals are better than no goals. I mean, don't let not having enough time or not knowing what to focus on get in your way. Use this framework and this method to be able to overcome the challenges that you're feeling. And then set a timer and knock it out, right? On your phone. Siri, set an alarm for 6 minutes, right? Set a timer for 6 minutes. Do your main goal within that timer, right? Then do another one, and then leave it, right? If you want to go into it more later, you can, but I think that the time forces what you already know that you're just maybe not willing to put on paper out of you and onto the paper, and it gets it done, right? And bonus points if you do this with a partner. It will help you to make sure you're specific. It will help you to make sure you're sort of getting feedback on this, and it will help with accountability. And studies show that you will go from simply just about 40% attainment on your goal all the way up to 75% attainment on your goal when you go from writing it or from thinking about it to writing it and sharing it with an accountability partner. So, and lastly, you can always change your goals. There's nothing that says that if you start off in one direction, you're married to that and you can never change it. But the hardest part is people just getting going. So with that, I just wanted to share these. I wanted you to at the end of the day, dive into this and make this approachable rather than some heavy lift that you got to do. So if you have any questions about this at all, by all means, reach out to me, send me a message on Instagram, send me an email, whatever you want to do. I'd be happy to help. And I wish you the best when it comes to your goal planning. Thanks.